and welcome to Chapter 1 of the Methane Abatement Handbook. Today, we're joined by a special guest, Ms. Nandita Ogier, who's an advisor of the Oceans and Natural Division of the Common Law Secretariat, and her team provides technical assistance on good governance for the petroleum sector, which includes methane abatement opportunities. So, Nandita, I'll turn it over to you if you want to walk us through these slides for Chapter 1. Again, this chapter is taken from the Methane Abatement Handbook, which is available on the website. The link is here. Nader will go into many of the topics in Chapter 1, but we do recommend that you take a look at the book itself for more details. I would like to recognize our funder and sponsor for this handbook, the U.S. Department of State's Bureau of Energy Resources. With that, Nader, over to you.
Thanks very much, Priya, and very pleased to share a brief summary of the first chapter in the Methane Abatement Handbook. Whilst there are a number of different areas, I just want to highlight a couple of key takeaways. And the key is really that near-term methane abatement offers a lot of benefits and is really critical for achieving our global climate goals. And in addition to the climate goals, methane abatement can offer opportunities for additional revenue generation, improved energy access, employment opportunities, energy security, as well as improving safety and advancing health and benefits to the community more broadly. So overall, methane is a great win-win, both for governments, for communities, and for companies. So it's a really great opportunity we have to seize this opportunity in reducing methane in the oil and gas sector. As we will cover within the book, methane is the main component in natural gas and has a really critical role to play in many countries' energy mix. It has a lot of various uses, but one of the critical issues is that it is actually, in the short term, a much more potent pollutant than carbon dioxide, having in excess of 80 times greater global warming impact. Methane comes across and can be released into the atmosphere from all parts of the value chain, that is from the upstream facilities, the midstream in terms of the processing, the separation, the pipelines, as well as the downstream components. Where are the sources of methane? Generally, they're come from three key areas. Flaring, which is the intentional burning of natural gas. Also venting, which is when methane is released into the atmosphere, and fugitive emissions, which in essence are where methane is released into the atmosphere from various leaks across the value chain that I just mentioned. And so what's the opportunity that we have? Really, internationally, the climate opportunity that I mentioned is that within the oil and gas sector, roughly about 70% can be abated. It can be captured with known technology, and in many, many cases at little or relatively low cost. So in recognition of the huge opportunity, we had the Global Methane Pledge, which was launched at COP 26. And here we have to date, more than 150 countries have joined this pledge, which is a commitment to contribute to global reductions by at least 30% by 2030. And this is relative to a 2020 baseline. And when we look at this opportunity, going back to this notion of a win-win, when this is done right, not only does it have the environmental benefits with regards to climate, but it can also promote economic growth. It can be done in a way that advances worker safety, community health, additional jobs, and international competitiveness. So the how really matters, and every country has different opportunities. And within that framework and the particular circumstances within a country, how we go about reducing and abating emissions will determine the extent of the economic, social, and health benefits. So in general, there are cost, revenues, jobs, and technological advancements as well for benefits. Here, this is just a visual representation of some of those benefits that I mentioned. And the chapter goes into a lot more detail about how these elements can come to fruition. Again, one of the key things that's worth mentioning as well is access to investments with additional structuring of methane opportunities to cut methane and reduce methane. It actually can add much more in terms of the investments within the sector, as well as other co-benefits, and can lead to additional investments further down the value chain as well. So one of the key ways that we can reduce methane is, instead of flaring it, to capture it and use it for power generation. In many countries, as we know, access to energy remains a significant challenge, and this is one of the huge opportunities that we have. Instead of releasing it into the atmosphere, utilizing it for power in domestic markets. And one of the areas that the chapter delves into a little bit further is a particular case study in Egypt. So where Egypt demonstrated a significant leadership on flaring and was very successful in reducing in excess of 40,000 tons of CO2 equivalent being reduced, taken away from the atmosphere. So the opportunity again is that there is a wide number of tools, standards, and practices existing within the industry today that if we were to adopt, it can really help us achieve the global target of limiting climate change and keeping that well below 2 and ideally to 1.5 degrees. And that, in essence, is what the first chapter covers. It's really the opportunity that we have by reducing methane and describing a lot more some of the co-benefits that may not be well known. With that, thank you very much.
Great. Thank you so much for that presentation on chapter 1. Again, if you have further questions on this chapter, please take a look at the handbook. We'll dive more into some of the case studies that were mentioned. And thanks again to our funder for this handbook, the State Department Bureau of Energy Resources. So stay tuned for the additional videos on the remaining chapters of the book, and you can watch them in any order. You don't have to necessarily watch them in sequence. Thank you.
Thank you.